Hello Math 2 students, and welcome to your 2.7 task. I know we did these out of order, but I felt that this worked better as a review. All right, so first let's go ahead and read the directions. So it says, use the given information to find as many of the following as possible. The vertex form, standard form, and then a graph showing at least 2 points on either side of the axis of symmetry. All right, so for the first one, they gave us this function in standard form. It's important that you're able to tell the difference between all of these forms. This one's in standard form because it's in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. All right, so it's important that you are able to identify when it is in standard form. So first, they want us to find the vertex form. All right, that's the first thing they ask for. So if you forgot how to go from standard to vertex, what you have to do is complete the square. All right, so we're going to go ahead and complete the square. So to remind you of what we do for that, first we look to see if it has a leading coefficient. If it does, we factor it out. This one does not have a leading coefficient, so we're just going to write it like this. And then we got to take our middle term, divide it by 2 and square it, which is going to give us a plus 9. And then since we added 9 on the inside, we need to subtract 9 on the outside. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and write this guy as a perfect square, which is going to be x. And then you take the sign here, so that's going to be a minus. And then you're going to take this guy and cut him in half. So you're going to do 6 divided by 2, which is going to give you a 3. And you slap a square down there. All right. And then since we added 9, we're going to have to subtract 9. So we're going to get a negative 12. So the answer to A is going to be y equals x minus 3 squared minus 12. All right. Then they ask for the standard form, which they already gave us. This is actually your answer to B. Then it says that you're supposed to do a graph showing at least 2 points on either side of the axis of symmetry. So let's go ahead. We're going to make our chart. All right. And we've got our vertex. So I guess actually it's important to be able to identify the vertex here. So the vertex here is going to be 3, negative 12. If you don't know how I got that, your vertex is always, the x value is the opposite of that guy. And then whatever this guy is, he keeps his sign. So it's going to be 3, negative 12. So let's put that in the middle of our chart. And then we're going to get 2 and 1. And then 4 and 5. Now, you are allowed to use Desmos on this quiz, right? So let's go ahead, let's go to Desmos. And we're going to plug this function in. All right, so we've got y equals x minus 3 squared. Oop, I forgot a parenthesis there. Minus 12. All right, so that is our function there, so we can see what it's going to look like. But honestly, what I'm more interested in is the chart. All right. So if you recall, we had a negative 3, or I'm sorry, we had a positive 3. Then we wanted a 4 and a 5, and then a 2 and a 1. All right. So if you look at this chart, we can fill in our y values without even having to plug them in. We've got a negative 8, 11, and then negative 8, negative 11, negative 11, negative 8. So let's write those in. Negative 8, negative 11, negative 11, negative 8. So now we've got our points, so we just need a graph. So let's plot our vertex, which is going to be 3, 1, 2, 3, negative 12, 1, 2, 3. And then it's going to be down here a little bit. So it goes off the chart. And then we've got 2, negative 11, which is still going to be a little bit off the chart, but up a little bit more. And then 4, negative 11. And then we've got 5, negative 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we've got 1, negative 8. So those are our vertex and 2 points on either side. So we can plot that and we get our graph. All right. So this is how you do the problem when you start with standard form. You can go from standard to vertex and then plot your points using Desmos. You go to standard to vertex by completing the square. So now let's go ahead and check here. They want to know the equation of this graph. All right, so the first thing I would do is find the vertex. So the vertex here is this point. It's either your maximum or your minimum. And in this case, our vertex is -4, 4. All right, so we can plug that into our vertex form. We'd have y equals a times x plus 4 squared plus 4. So notice how this was a -4 for my x value, but remember, when you put your x value into your equation, the sign changes. All right. So next, we're going to go ahead and plug in another point. So we've got -2, 2. All right, that's this point here. So let's plug that in. So I'm going to plug in a -2 for x and a +2 for y. So I'm going to do 2 equals a times -2 plus 4 squared plus 4. So I'm going to end up with 2 equals a times -2 squared, or I'm sorry, +2 times 2 squared plus 4. I'm going to bring my 4 over. So I get -2 equals 4 times a. I'm going to divide by 4. I get a equals -1/2. So now I have the vertex form of my function. So the answer to a, which is my vertex form, is going to be y equals, and then my a value is -1/2 x plus 4 squared plus 4. Now, one thing I want to point out, we know that this graph opens downward, so we would expect our a to be negative, which is good because we got a negative a value. All right. So now we've got our vertex form. Now we need to find our standard form. All right. So how do we go from vertex to standard? Well, we are going to FOIL and distribute and combine like terms. All right. So we're going to take this guy. First, we're going to FOIL out the middle part. So we have x plus 4 times x plus 4 plus 4. So now we're going to FOIL out this these two binomials. We're going to keep our -1/2 out in front. We get x squared plus 4x plus 4x plus 16. All right. So then we can go ahead and combine like terms. We get -1/2 x squared plus 8x plus 16 plus 4. And then we can go ahead and, so we've done our foiling. Now we're going to distribute. So we get -1/2 x squared minus 4x minus 8. And then we've got a plus 4 at the end. So we're going to end with -1/2 x squared minus 4x minus 4, and that is going to be our answer there. Oops, I guess I could do a y equals. And this would be your B. All right. Then again, they want us to graph it. So we need to make a chart. I'm kind of running out of space here. I'll zoom in a little bit. So first off, what is our vertex here? We got to find kind of our anchoring point and get our vertex. So if we look here, well, actually, we kind of already found it, right? It's -4, 4. That was the first thing we found. All right. So again, oh, actually, we don't even need to, it's already plotted for us. So we could actually just give the values that they gave us. So we could do like -2, 2. Actually, we'll go up this way. And then we've got 0, -4. And we have -6, 2. And then -8, -4. All right, so those were just the values that I got from the chart. We didn't even have to go to Desmos for that one. All right, so for the next one, we've got number 3. So it says, I know the graph opens up and has no x-intercepts. Okay, so they didn't actually give us a ton of information, but there's a couple things we can like learn from this. If it opens up, what can you tell me about A? Think about it. If the graph opens up like a cup, what can you tell me about A? Is it going to be greater than 1? I actually should say, how about this? Is A going to be positive? Or is A going to be negative? Think about that. So if it opens up like a cup, it's going to be positive. So we have a positive A value. And then if it has no x-intercepts, all right, we can't really come up with an equation of this guy, but we can kind of imagine what he might look like. He might look like that. He might look like that. All right. We just know that his vertex is going to be in quadrant 1 or 2, and he's going to open up like a cup. All right, next. We know that the vertex form of the function is 2x plus 3 squared minus 8. So this is the answer to our A, right? We've already got our vertex form. So now we're going to go ahead and find our standard form, all right? So to find our standard form, let's kind of go back. How do we get from vertex to standard? Well, that's where we do our FOIL, distribute, combine like terms. So we've got x plus 3 times x plus 3 minus 8. I'm going to FOIL this guy out. I get x squared, and just for time's sake, I'm going to do it a little quickly. We get plus 6x plus 9 minus 8. Then we're going to go ahead and distribute. So we get 2x squared plus 12x plus 18 minus 8 on the end there still. So then we're going to go ahead and combine like terms. So for our standard form, it's going to be y equals 2x squared plus 12x plus 10. All right, so that's our standard form. Now let's go ahead and get our graph. What is our vertex here? Now, if you're still struggling with vertex, I'd pay really close attention. Always remember your vertex is going to be the opposite of this guy, and the y value will be the same as this guy. So your x is opposite, your y value is the same. So we'd have -3, comma, -8. So that's where we're going to start. All right. And then what would I want you to do here? Go to Desmos, right? Graph and get your points from that chart. All right. So when you get your points from the chart, you're going to want a -4 and a -5. You're going to want a -2 and a -1. So when I plug these into, actually go ahead, plug these in, like that, and tell me what the y value is. Give me the point for -5, -4, -2, and -1. See if you can fill that out. So when I did this, I got 0, -6, -6, and 0. So we can go ahead and plot those. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. And then we've got -2, -6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0, or -1, 0. Oops. And then we've got -5, 0, and -4, -6. So that is what our parabola should look like. And then this would be your answer to C, right? Oh, actually, this should be B, because that's our standard form. All right. Making progress, guys. So now we've got number 5. All right, so they tell us that the function opens up. So that if they tell us that it opens up, what does that mean? What does that tell you about A? If it opens up, A is positive. All right. Then, if it tells you that it's compressed by a factor of 1/2, that tells you that A is going to be equal to 1/2. They also gave us the vertex. So we can plug into that vertex form, which is y equals A times x minus h squared plus k, right? So we would plug in y equals -1/2, and then x minus -2 minus 1. So I wanted to point out, when I put this right in there, I want you to see why this sign changes. When I put my x value, my h value in, notice how this negative sign that's in the original formula here, that's what changes the sign of it, right? That's why, even though it's a -2 as a point in the function, it's a +2, right? And vice versa. All right, so this is our answer to A. That's our vertex form. So now we need to go ahead and get our standard form. So we're going to go ahead and FOIL this out, combine like terms. So when I do that, I get, let's see, minus 1, x squared plus 4x plus 4, minus 1. And then, of course, right, you FOIL, distribute. So I'm going to get negative 1/2 x squared minus 2x minus 2 minus 1. So I end with y equals 1/2 x squared minus 2x minus 3. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and get our graph. All right. So let's see, I'm kind of running out of space. I'm going to put it here. We'll do this. X, Y. So what's our vertex here? It's -2, -1. All right. So we're going to do -2, -1. And let's go ahead. Let's do this one on Desmos together. So we're going to plug in -1/2 x plus 2 squared minus 1. Get 1 divided by, oh, I have to do -1. So we've got extra y equals -1/2. Oop, I did 1/3. 1/2 times x plus 2 squared minus 1. All right. Then that gives us our function. Of course, it opens down. We got a compression. So let's go ahead and get our chart. Since our vertex started at -2, we're going to make that our center point here. And then we've got -3, -4, and then -1 and 0. All right. So we got -3, -0.5, -1.5, -3. All right. So, oops. And this was for -1 and 0, -3, -4. All right. This would be our answer to C, and then we'll go ahead and plot those points. So we get -2, -1, -3, -1.5, -1, -1.5, 0, -3, and -4, -3. All right. So then we're going to go ahead, draw in our parabola.